The youth hunt is this weekend. Let's talk about the youth hunt. I'm in favor of the youth hunt. I think the youth hunt is a great idea. The youth hunt has a lot of detractors. The youth hunt gets a lot of opposition. A lot of people gripe about the youth hunt. I'll just say right now that I think people who gripe about the youth hunt are crybabies and whiners. And that gets me in a lot of trouble because a lot of the people that I'm talking to right now are my people. You're hunters. You're anglers. You usually agree with what I have to say. You listen to the show. But when I talk about the youth hunt, I make people mad, and that's okay. Not everything I'm going to say on this show you're going to agree with, and that's fine. You know, it worries me when somebody comes up to me and say, I agree with everything that you say. Well, if you agree with everything that I say, chances are you probably haven't thought it through that well. You're just agreeing with me, and I don't necessarily want that. I like the youth hunt. I think every opportunity that we have in today's world to get kids out in the outdoors and expose them to hunting or fishing, whatever the case may be, I think we have to take advantage of that opportunity because the world has changed, certainly since I was a kid so many years ago growing up in northern Kent County in West Michigan. When I was a kid growing up, that's all we did. I worked on the farm, I did sports, and I hunted and fished. And that's all there was to do. That's what we did. These days, my Lord, I love the technology. I love the gadgets. I'm, for the most part, like the social media. But there are so many different things out there to get these kids away from hunting and fishing. So anything we can do to introduce them to our way of life, I think we have that obligation. And so I am in favor of it. But here are the complaints against the youth season. Number one, people say, well, they should have to wait until November 15th. Because I had to wait until November 15th. They should have to wait until it's cold. They should have to wait until the deer are a little spooky from bow season. Why should they be able to go out there in the middle of September when it's nice and warm? The deer haven't been hunted yet. They're not spooked yet. Why should they be able to get out there then? It's an unfair advantage. Well, don't we want to give kids an advantage? Why would you want to make a 10-year-old kid wait until the middle of November when it's cold? If we can get them out there earlier in warm weather and let them see some deer, unpressured deer, why not? Number two, it's not fair that they get a chance at the big bucks that I have been scouting all season long. Those are my deer. I have them patterned. I'm going to get him October 1st, and then a kid comes out of the blue in the middle of September and shoots my buck. It's not your buck. You don't own it. Even if it's on your property, you don't own that buck. It belongs to the people of the state of Michigan. The DNR / people of the state of Michigan own that animal. It's not yours. Number three, most of these kids will not stick with hunting. We'll get them out there, they'll shoot this big buck, probably the biggest buck they'll ever shoot, and then they'll move on to something else and they'll forget completely about hunting. Well, I am sure that in some cases, if not a fair percentage of time, that actually does happen. But if we can expose them to hunting when they're young and they think it's really cool, even if they don't stick with it, they will have had the experience, they will have had the exposure. So a few years down the road, when they are asked to vote about outdoor-related issues, about hunting and fishing-related issues, they will at least have a frame of reference to base things on, rather than the frame of reference of the anti-hunting groups that tend to bombard the airwaves and they make it politically cool to be an anti-hunter. We want these kids to be exposed. We want them to have the experience. We want them to know what hunting is about. So even if they don't stick with it when they become adults, young adults, they at least know what we're talking about and they can go, well, listen, I deer hunted before. I thought it was a lot of fun. I shot that deer. We ate that meat. That was really good. I enjoyed that. I am going to vote for hunting and fishing. So whether they stick with it or not is not necessarily the point. Just exposing them, showing them what it's all about to give them the mental ammunition, no pun intended, to deal with the attacks in the future. The fourth point I hear about the youth hunt is that adults use the youth hunt as an excuse to go out and shoot a big buck. The adult actually pulls the trigger and shoots a big buck and lets the kid sit there in the blind with him. I might be naive in thinking it doesn't happen that often because people tell me all the time, Avery, you're wrong. It happens a lot. I hope it doesn't. I will accept the fact that maybe in some circles it does. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it a valid excuse against the youth hunt, because any adult who will go out during the youth hunt on a kid's tag, make the kid sit there in the blind with them, and the adult pull the trigger on a big buck is a violator. They are a poacher. They are a dirtbag. They are an immoral and unethical person that just happened to use the youth hunt as an excuse to take advantage of their immoral, unethical, and illegal activity. If it wasn't the youth hunt, they would find another excuse to do it. So to blame that on the youth hunt, I don't think is a valid complaint. That person is a violator. What they're doing is wrong. They just happened to do it during the youth hunt.